Rifleonline. I'm your host, Sean. Today, we're going to file the nut on this 1978 SD Curlee bass guitar. Okay, so this is my 1978 SD Curlee. This is the first bass that I ever purchased. And I bought this in 1983. Right out of high school. I was just 17, turning 18. And this has been a really good bass, but it's really not my thing anymore. I don't know if you know much about SD Curlees. This is an SD Curlee International, as you can see on the headstock. That means it was made in Japan. SD Curlee, they were one of the first companies to actually contract with other companies to make their product. So you can find SD Curlees made by Aspen, by Hondo 2, probably a couple other companies that are more inexpensive. The Internationals and the USA ones were the expensive models. As far as holding their value now, the International and the USA are about the same. The Internationals actually are more consistent as far as quality control goes for the most part. I did have some tuning problems with this for many years. It would just go out of tune on me a lot. And recently, I just finally figured it out. Figured out how to fix it. Which, let me move that light a little. If you can see, on the E and the G string, I just wound them the opposite way. No more tuning issues whatsoever. I don't know why I couldn't think of that a long time ago. Sometimes that's how life works. So what I'm going to do is this has a brass nut. Also it comes with a nice DiMarzio pickup. It's not a really hot pickup, but it has a great tone. I want to say this is around 9K or maybe 10K, somewhere in between there. But again, this has been a really good bass, and I still use it some for recording some things. But I don't play it a lot other than just to goof around. But I love it as it was my first, and I played it for many years. But this brass nut is just a little too high. And the way I usually check that is I will push down at the 3rd fret and then push down at the 1st. And you can measure it. I don't measure it. It's just a little high. And the reason being, I recently leveled, crowned, and polished all these frets for the first time probably since 1978. Well, I know since 1983. And it really needed it. And this is because of that, I really need to bring this down a little bit. Brass is fairly soft, but it's not the easiest thing to work with. So I'm just going to file it down. I'm going to use some files here that, again, these didn't cost much. I got these on Amazon. I'll leave a link to them below. But these have been working really well. I use them all the time. So I want to say I spent 12 bucks on them, maybe something like that. I will leave a link. And let's get started. I'm just going to loosen these strings up. I don't have to check anything. The bass is set up. There's, it's in good shape. Unfortunately, I did not record me doing the fretwork. Again, though, I will have a video coming out with that pretty soon. So what you want to do when you're filing any kind of nut is you don't want to go too low. So do it in increments, small increments is what I would suggest. It's a good idea to put something under here if you know how deep you want it to go, like a piece of cardboard or anything. I am actually not going to do that, but I would suggest that you do, but I'm not. I'm just going to get it done. Also, you may want to protect right here, and I may do that. I'm going to see how tight it is when I start to file. Let's see. I think this is going to be what I want for this. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So what you also want to keep in mind is you don't want any added string tension. So you want to file at an angle going down towards the headstock, at least a slight angle. I'm saying about 30 degrees. And I am not taking much off this. It doesn't need much. It's not that it's unplayable the way it is. It's not at all. But if this were a nut I was cutting new, or it really needed to be cut a lot, I would say, yeah, let's take some measurements, and let's put a piece of cardboard or something under here, so that we don't go too far. In this instance, there's so little for me to take off. I'm not going to worry about it. The key to success here, though, is do it in small increments and check it. Because I don't think this needs much. That might be enough right there. I doubt it is, but let's bring it up to tune just a little. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to get it tight enough so I can check it. I stay tuned a step down. So I'm tuned straight, but to D. All my basses are tuned that way. That's how Rifle tunes. It's almost there. Let's just take a little bit more off. But unfortunately, that's what you have to do with these, is you have to file a little bit and check it and then take more off. Actually, I'm going to try a different file. That one was good to start. This one's nice and round. I can get in there a little better. Steady pressure. Keep your angle. Again, it is a good idea to put something here to protect. I'm just really not, but I do these all the time. But just a piece of tape or something is a great idea to put there. I usually use this gaffer's type tape or painter's tape. This stuff, it's fantastic. And what I want is, when I push down on the 3rd fret, I want it to just barely be above, or even almost barely touching the 1st fret. I generally like it to just barely not be touching. It's much easier to do this with a bone nut, or, well, I don't know, bone can be hard to work with too. A graphite nut, or any kind of a synthetic bone or plastic nut. But the rules apply no matter what. No matter what material it's made of. I think that's going to be pretty good. That is so close, so close. I'm going to take it down just a little bit more, and don't take too much off, because it is easy to go too far. You can always cut deeper, but you can't make it taller. Technically you can, depending on the material. That's for another video. With brass, though, maybe you can. I don't know of a good way to do it. I personally just want to make sure it's right the first time. We're almost there. This bass was, I have to admit, poorly maintained when I was younger. By that, I mean I never did any fret work or anything on it until recently. But it still plays great. It sounds great too. It's a 32-inch scale, so it's like a medium type scale, and it's not for me. I'm a P bass guy through and through. I want a 34-inch scale, and 20 frets is all I need. This thing has 24. The whole feel isn't me anymore. When I first got it, though, man, it was everything. I just loved it. Not that I don't still love it, but it was just, I don't know, it called to me. I had started playing guitar, so I went from a guitar player to being a bassist. I wanted to be a bass player, though, from almost the very beginning. I started playing guitar at, I don't know, probably 10, and got my first decent, good guitar. My parents bought me an Ibanez Les Paul copy, and I couldn't have been, I was still 11, going on 12, and I heard Rush for the first time. And it was the first time I understood what bass was, and even drums. I could hear everything so clearly, and I knew I wanted to be a bass player from the moment I heard Geddy Lee. So I was a frustrated guitarist for a couple years until I decided to go ahead and just give it up. And and play bass. I still play guitar, but you know, it's not my voice. But I played this bass for many, many years. I was mainly playing cover songs and some originals back then. So it was a long time ago. I haven't played cover songs in forever. But that was when I got this. You know, we started out playing a lot of Rush covers and Black Sabbath and things. And this is a good bass for everything. It has a really good tone. And later on, as the years went on, I was in bands that covered a lot of the things like Racer X. Love Juan Alderete. I hope he's doing okay. He's been in a coma, I know, from a bicycle accident. I like that. I'm gonna give it just a tiny bit more. And again, this is personal preference. A lot of the times, I mean, if it's too high, you're gonna be working too hard. You're gonna get cramps and tendonitis and all kinds of stuff. But there was no reason to do this to begin with. I mean, it wasn't unplayable. It's just not where I want it. Again, just take your time with it. It's better to spend a little extra time and get it right. It's not something you can rush. It's not hard work. It's just slow work. I'm feeling like that's going to be it. Oh yeah, there we go. So that took a little longer than I would have liked, but it always does. It always does. Just move the strings out of the way while they're loose. Let's do this one. These basses came with brass nuts and with a brass bridge, different types. Some of them came with badass bridges, but the earlier ones, I believe, again, this is a 1978, did not. They came with the brass type bent bridge that this one has. I found that was actually made. They wanted a bridge, and they couldn't find one that worked, and it was made by a farmer somewhere. I don't know where. Which I thought was interesting. You know, someone who didn't have anything to do with music, he was able to make them this, or cast, I guess you cast brass. Anyway, make this brass bridge for him. I heard they had some issues with the badass bridges because they were too high. You couldn't get the action down low enough when you had them on the deck. And the way this is made, it's not a normal bolt-on neck, so you can't put a shim in it. So then they started routing out the bodies, but I think that was later on. They didn't make SD Curlees for a long time. They are making them again, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Birdsong basses. I think that's who it is. And I'll double check, but they are making SD Curlees again. So if you're interested in one, you can get a new one, and they look fantastic. I haven't ever played one of theirs, but from what I understand, it's to spec, so it should be pretty much the same as this if this is the type of model you wanted. This is definitely my favorite SD Curlee body shape, and I like the one pickup model. They did make it was a double P pickup, which that's neat. It's just not for me. I don't like one pickup. I get plenty of sound right there in the sweet spot, or well, in this case with a short scale it's a little different, but also I just don't like messing with more than one pickup. I know that if I have one pickup, I have my volume up and I have my tone up, or most of my basses I don't even run tone. I disconnect the tone circuit. I don't have to worry. I don't have to think. Something about my brain will make me constantly check to make sure that both pickups are on, or both of them are. you know, the volumes are all the way up the right way, and I don't know, it's just, I like one pickup. My goal when I'm playing is to think as little as possible. And with one pickup, I don't have to think about it. I think we're pretty close there for sure. I don't know if you can hear this sound. I kind of know it's right when it sounds like that. Kind of has that specific click. There's that click I'm after. I'll take it. I'll take that. Now, obviously, as these get smaller, you don't want to go as deep into a file like this. You can get files, slot files that will probably work a little better, but you're probably going to spend more for one of those than you will for all of these. I'm all about getting as much out of the tools I have as I can, and the best value that I can have that's still gonna do what I need it to do. One thing about working on basses and guitars is you can use a whole lot of household tools and make it work. You don't have to get specific, you know, luthier tools and stuff. Sometimes they're great though, and if you're, you know, if it's your business, I'm not saying you shouldn't. But if you're just working on your own stuff and maybe, you know, a couple friends things, or like me, you know, a couple customers here and there, you really don't need a lot of them, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. In later videos, I'll show you how to make some of your own tools too. You've probably seen some videos like that. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it. I mean, case in point, this headrest here, I mean, that is part of a pool noodle that you use to float in, you know, in a pool. I just kind of cut it out there and made it flat, and boom, nice and safe. That cost me $2, I think. And I made 2 of them, and I have the rest of the noodle here somewhere, so I can make several. It's soft, it has give, but it supports enough. I've seen people use paper towel roll too, and that works great. All right, I'm gonna try that. And again, we didn't have to go far with this bass. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't really bad. It's just not where I wanted it. Hi, Oliver. How you doing, buddy? My dog Oliver just came in to see what's going on. He's been laying out in the hall, watching me. My workshop here, my workbench, is in the basement. He loves it down here. He's got such a thick coat. He likes to lay on the floor, the concrete floor. The part he's laying in is my gym, my workout room. This is the laundry room, but it also has my bench. And the rifle studio is down here as well. The rifle studio is nice and warm though. We have, you know, heaters in there, and I want to keep a constant temperature, consistent temperature anyway, for the basses and guitars. I think that's going to be good. Let's see. Yep, I like that. And this one isn't off as much as the others. This is going to be a little harder because I can only use the tip of this. I don't want to get it too wide. But it doesn't need much, so. I use GHS medium boomers on all my basses. I have put some different strings on this. I even put some piccolo strings on this once. I just didn't like it. I don't know. I couldn't find any use for it that I wasn't going to use it. I wasn't going to use it like that, so. I wanted to do some different stuff with it, but I have recorded one track, part of a track actually, of a rifle song with this, and the song 9 Days, from the record 9 Days, which is right here on our playlist. You can also get it on any streaming service that you listen to. I doubled, which I've never done before, I doubled my bass track, and since this is a 24 fret, a 2-octave neck, I did the riff an octave higher, and I used this, and it really came out. I like the way it came out. So it does sound different live, but we have that song has a different live version anyway. I think this is pretty close. Now Rifle does we're getting ready to release a record called Project, because we do like prog music a lot, and we're going to release a record of prog music. And we just like to write stuff like that, especially Jet and I. So this record, the record that'll be coming out called Project, will feature some SD Curlee for sure. Oh yeah, we're there. We're there. All right, so let's go ahead and button this up. Get her tuned up. I use this Snark tuner, by the way. I love this thing. It works great on basses and guitars. I wholeheartedly suggest you get one of these if you don't use an inline type tuner or something. And they have these on Amazon. I'll find a link, and I'll give you a link to these tuners. I mean, they're very accurate, unlike a lot of clip-on tuners. Now, let's see what we have here. All right, I think that's going to be as good as it gets for this. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit like, share with your friends, and listen to Rifle every day.